Ladies and gentlemen,
This is the Dental Up Podcast, brought to you by Keating Dental Arts, a full-service, award-winning dental laboratory. Each week, you'll learn tips and techniques from real-world dentists, bringing you in-depth interviews, motivating stories, current events, and sports. Here's your host, Sean Keating.
Hey everyone, Sean here. Welcome to another episode of the Dental Up Podcast. My guest today attended the Northeastern University and the University of Oklahoma, where he received a DDS degree, served as a member of the United States Army, and has been part of at least 10 different clubs and associations. He is currently serving on the advisory board for Platt College and practicing in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Please welcome Dr. Richard L. Brown, DDS FAGD. What's up, Dr. Brown?
Not much. It's good to hear from you, Sean.
That's so cool, dude. I love you, man. You're a big OU guy, and I remember coaching my kids in football growing up, and I had a guy that went to OU. He was my defensive coordinator, and he taught me the wishbone from back in the day at Barry Switzer. He was like there from like 83 to 85, I think, and that's awesome. So I always remember you, OU, baby, and I always like to start off with sports. So tell me a little bit about you an OU fan, you Oklahoma State guy, or you Oklahoma City Thunder. Tell me a little bit about your sports loves and not.
Well, I'm a University of Oklahoma fan. I graduated there. My uncle played football there, and my father played football at the University of Tulsa. But unfortunately, I was smarter than they were, and I was a collegiate golfer, so I didn't want to get hurt that bad.
Ah, dude, that's so cool, man. So your pops played college football. What position did he play?
He played end, and in the 50s they played both offensive and defensive end.
So what about Tulsa, man? They had a good team back then, or they always get whooped up? Or did he even play OU or no?
They didn't play OU back then, but they played Oklahoma State and they played Arkansas, and I think the 2 years my father was there, the last 2 years he was there, they beat them both times. And in fact, my dad had 19 tackles against Arkansas his junior year.
Ah, that's so cool, dude. How big was Pops? Because you're a big, brawly looking dude, man. You look like a big football player. How big was Pops?
My dad was about 6'3", about 210.
Oh, jeez.
And ran about a 10-100 yard dash.
I got the weight on. I'm about 5'8", 250, but but I used to run like a 4.5 back in the day. that was at a $150 though. Same height, but a $150. So, dude, tell me about your golfing, man. You got some good club. You got some PXGs like me that make you, go have a 6 handicap or no?
Well, I am about a 5 handicap, but I have Titleist irons.
Yeah, I'm just messing with you, dude. I've never shot under 100, and I thought, go get the PXGs, are real good. And the guys all kind of laugh at me on the course. They see me with it, and then they see me tee off, and they go, dude, what the heck? And so when I hear the story is like, and whenever they see guys with PXGs, man, they're like, they're probably just rich dudes that freaking don't know how to play. And it's probably true, but I love getting out there golfing, man. I'm really starting to get into it. And I bought this indoor driving range, like net. It's called something net, and I put it in my garage or I put it outside, and I just drive those balls on that thing, man. Sometimes it goes outside that net, and I hear a crank of the house roof, couple miles away or whatever. It's just it's pretty addicting once you get it down. And then even too, just watching Tiger the last few weeks kind of getting me back. I mean, it was really big in the 90s and 2000s, even the 80s and 70s, with all the Nicklaus and all those guys growing up. I mean, you're close to me in age. I think I got a little on you, but it was just a big thing. And now it's kind of coming back into the limelight a little bit, I think, with some of the newer players. But it's just amazing how they just swing so gentle on every swing. It's just the club is different, but where I'm trying to jack it every time, and I'm just trying to freaking hit a home run. It's like I just got to get that swing down a little better, but pretty intense for sure.
Yeah, I think technology in golf is like technology in dentistry. It doesn't substitute for skill, but it sure makes it a heck of a lot easier.
All right, Dr. Brown, I'll shut the heck up and we'll get into a little dental up here, baby. So tell me, why did you get into dentistry, and at what point did you think, I want to be a dentist?
You know, I was fortunate enough to have an uncle who was a physician, and when I was in junior high, I worked as a veterinary assistant. And I knew at some point in time I wanted to do something in medicine. And then I came home from the dentist in 7th grade and said, this is what I want to do. And that's kind of what I did.
No kidding. That's so cool. A lot of my doctors on these podcasts have said, either have a family member or a parent or something that was in the medical field. And then a lot of them always say, I was thinking about going to medical, and then they got into that and they decided, you know what, I really want to kind of get into dentistry, but very similar in that. So tell me, where did you attend school?
Well, I went to the Northeastern State University, which is in a little town called Tahlequah, Oklahoma. Okay. It's where the red fern grows was filmed there, and okay. It's a little lake community, and then I went from there after 3 years of playing golf and going to school. Went to the University of Oklahoma College of Dentistry in Oklahoma City, and then left there and became a soldier.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Now you served in the U.S. Army. Now, tell me how that worked out after you got out of dental school. Did you serve a residency, or what encouraged you to serve in the U.S. Army?
Yeah, I wanted to do a residency because I really didn't know what I wanted to do in dentistry, and the Army offered me that opportunity, and it allowed me to kind of travel a little bit and see other parts of the country. I went to Georgia, and lo and behold, while I was in my residency, I met my wife. So it was a pretty good choice.
Yeah, Georgia Peach, man. Those women in Georgia, I've been there a few times at the Hinman, and it's like, dude, freaking crazy. And all the doctors go to the Hinman meeting because there's like 10 to 1 women, like all the assistants and stuff. And it's like they're all beautiful women out there in Atlanta and Georgia. So, hey, tell me a little bit about when you got out. Let's just say you got out when you started your dental career. Now, did you start with an associate? Did you work for somebody? Did you open up your own practice? Tell me a little bit about your journey when you started off first in dentistry.
Yeah, I did an associateship with a gentleman and decided, okay, this is okay. And then I became a partner in another practice. And then I said, maybe I'm better not being a partner, and I need to do this on my own. So I did that in about 1997. We started this office that we've had now, and have stayed there ever since.
No kidding. Now, your office is called Smiles by Design. That's a pretty. That sounds familiar there.
It was creative. When I had a partner, you create these relationships, and then your name ends up staying there. And I said, well, one day I'm going to leave, and I need to leave and not leave my name there. And so I was setting to come up with Smiles by Design, and that was kind of what I wanted to do, and we created everything off of that.
That's smart. That's some forward thinking there. I should have thought of that with Keating Dental Arts when I sell this for $1 billion. Like, I don't have to be here, huh? I don't think that's going to happen. We're gonna be doing this till they pry my hands off that handpiece, my cold, limp hands. But no, that's awesome, dude. So tell me, what were some of the hurdles starting off? I mean, we got a lot of newer guys that are they're working for guys and they're thinking about starting, but I know you're a real big educator, and we'll get into that because you always remind me of just like a professor. I remember back in the day when we first started working together, and you're just a really smart guy, and you touch on a lot of different areas, and you've lectured and throughout the U.S. I mean, you've just done a lot. But tell me a little bit about some of the hurdles when you were starting, and some of the do's and don'ts, maybe, and anything that sticks out in your mind that more so than other things.
Well, I think the first thing is you have to have patience. So you have to figure out a way to get patients in your office, and then in doing so, distinguish yourself from everybody else that's out there that's trying to get patients to come to their office. Absolutely. And I think the hardest thing to do with that is to be different. Yes. And not just be the same.
Oh, absolutely.
And so that's what we tried to do.
Well, what did you do to do that? Did you hit high schools for mouth guards? Did you do whitening programs? Because back in that time, there's no social media or anything like that. We're probably doing some yellow pages and then maybe the penny saver magazines. What were you doing to try to generate business into the practice?
The answer is yes,
Yes.
to pretty much all those, including doing screenings at school for free.
No kidding.
Anything I could do to establish a relationship where it could potentially become a patient or a friend, as we call them, and be able to, live this life in dentistry together.
Just, tell me a little bit about starting off, how it's evolved or not, if it's the same kind of practice, general dentistry, or tell me a little bit about what you like to do and what you don't like to do.
Well, it's interesting that you asked that because, when I was in the Army, we did so much emergency dentistry and do endodontics and take out teeth, and that surgical background served me well because when people come into the office, they have a problem often, and if you can take care of it, you have an opportunity to serve them and maybe change their lives and maybe have them become a patient. So those skills have served me well and continue to do so over the years. I'm probably one of the rare dentists that work on Fridays.
Okay.
And I do that because most of the people don't work on Fridays. And so that's the way it did. I think we've evolved to become more of a cosmetically driven practice and try to do those things in dentistry that change people's appearance. But that's probably 50% of my practice, and the other 50% is just good old-fashioned bread and butter dentistry, take care of patients' needs.
Now, tell me a little bit. You were involved way back in the day. Weren't you involved a little bit on an extreme makeover? Or tell me a little bit about that.
Well, we did some stuff with a cosmetic, American Academy of Cosmetic Dentistry, and
Okay.
where you take care of battered wives or battered women, and you take care of and you change those lives, and those are fun things to do, but just the opportunity to help people in that regard, but it also allows you to help polish your skills and become better at doing stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And I think a lot of my service dentists that went into the service, and I think it's just such a great thing that a lot of guys just go to dental school, man, and then they jump into a practice that hopefully the owner will let them get in there and tackle some of the tougher things. But more so than not, that's not really what's happening. And it takes years, and if not years and years and years to get that kind of in the trenches, experience where you in the Army, and I mean, my brother was in the Navy, and on, several other of my dentists that I've talked to recently, they just got such a, massive amount of just experience by working on these soldiers and getting in, doing endo, doing all these wicked extractions, doing, crown preps and fillings and just, emergency oral surgeon type emergency stuff. But I think that's really what really sets a lot of these dentists apart. Some of the guys that did go in the service, like you. I mean, you were doing all that stuff, and for you to get into a private practice, it was just like bam, like you were MacGyver almost. That you had many things under your belt already, where it took a lot of other dentists many years to get that kind of experience. I mean, would you recommend going in the service and days nowadays for dental students and stuff? Tell me about that.
Well, I'd recommend if somebody were going to find some residency to do. I think dental school does a good job of giving you a way to do stuff, but you really need to learn the ways not to do stuff. Exactly. And you only do that by experiences. And so I know more today about what I don't want to do than what I do want to do. And I think that's the most important portion of that, I think.
Tell me a little bit about the layout of your practice. How's it grown over the years? Tell me a little bit about your ops, this and that. And
we started initially, I had 2 operatories next to each other, and then I had a little tiny operatory that we had a hygienist in, and in about, I guess, 20 years ago, just about exactly, I decided to move spaces and remodel the space and did that. So it's a 5 operatory dental clinic with every room has 2 entries in and out of, and we have televisions and intraoral cameras. We have everything's rear delivery, and it's just stayed the same with central sterilization. I think the most important thing that I did was I put my office right by the front desk.
Okay.
So that when people walk in, they see me.
Oh,
Even if that day I'm not going to see them, if they're just seeing a hygienist for something, but they see me and I get to say hello and how's your family and try to develop that relationship.
that's so cool. I did the same thing with I got a big window where it just looks out on the lab, kind of like on the Flintstones. Remember that? The quarry, the guy up there. So all the techs always see me, and it's just kind of a neat thing. I think being up front and center like that is important to not only your employees, but to, the people that are coming in and you're seeing. So that's pretty neat. So, hey, tell me a little bit about your typical day in your practice.
Is there a typical day in dental practice? That's the first question. I would say there is no typical day. We do every single thing pretty much in dentistry. From surgery to, I still see kids. I have a 97-year-old on the schedule on Thursday, and I saw a 5-year-old last Friday. So it creates interest and it creates mental stimulation, if you will. Your mind's always doing something different, but yet at the same time, you get to take care of people. I think that's kind of my motto and our motto of this practice, just take care of the patient.
I just love it from the full spectrum. Like some guys, I'm limited to cosmetics, or I'm limited to this. And you got a 97-year-old patient, and then you got 5-year-old patients. Tell me a little bit about the children. No, that's amazing that you work on kids like that. And
well, I would say that today I see a lot less children than I did, 29 years ago, because I think that sometimes they're better served in a facility that's geared towards them. But we just treat them like human beings and just try to take care of them. I'm probably barely older than most of them mentally, and so it's kind of an easy transition for me to talk to them like a 10-year-old or a 5-year-old, because I'm just about that maturity level. So it works well for me.
I say the same thing about myself. You're as young as you feel, but I was like 20 when I had our first son and 22, whatever, on the second one. But so didn't really have time to grow up, and I had kids. And then for the next 20 years, I went through all of their music and all their stuff. So it's kind of like a brother after a while. Not a brother, but it's just, so I don't know. I like staying young and not being old. But now as you get older, you get wiser and you got to be more responsible. And so I'm kind of a fuddy-dud, but my kids say, Dad, you're not like you used to be. You used to be fun. And I'm like, well, I got to try to set an example for you knuckleheads, and let's just, it's weird how you grow up and how life changes as you get older and wiser.
Of course, the music was still better back in the 70s and 80s than it is today.
Oh, absolutely. You knew the guitarist, you knew the drummer, you knew all the guys in the bands, the Aerosmiths and all that, what we grew up with, and, the Beatles and all that.
Well, I'll bring you back into memory lane. My first concert was Cheap Trick opening for Kiss at the Fabulous Forum.
Oh, dude, that was back in the time. My first was Black Sabbath and the Ramones, and the Ramones opened up, and that was at the Long Beach Arena, like in '78. And everyone's throwing beer cans at the Ramones and stuff, and we booed them off the stage, and they only last like a half of their set. But Cheap Trick, man, that's awesome, dude. That's so crazy. And you're a Barstow guy. See, it's hard to believe, like, you're out in Oklahoma with the tornadoes and stuff, and here, back where you were with us, you were like with the earthquakes. So you went from earthquakes to tornadoes.
There's always something to get in the way of life, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. They always say there's 20% of something about your that you don't like, and with your spouse or whatever, and no matter where you go, you're going to find 20% problem with someone else, so you might as well stick with who you're with, right?
I refuse to answer on the grounds that might incriminate me.
Exactly. I kind of butchered that. And I love you, Shannon. If you listen to this, my wife, Shannon, she don't listen to these, I don't think, but if she does, she'd probably tell me, Sean, you got to settle down, son. But so tell me, how has the economy affected your practice? I know the economy is kind of starting to come back, but back in the day, we've been together quite a long time, but back in 08 to 10 and beyond, I know a lot of practices have dropped 20, 30, 40% from their heyday, and it's never coming back for a lot of the guys that were just pushing that rock up that hill a little too hard. And Tell me about it. Has it affected your practice much? You seem to be booming. You always have been, but tell me a little bit about your experience with the economy affecting your practice.
Well, I know, and I was thinking about that the other day. I think we started in 2005, Sean, as
Yes.
I was looking back. So I think you started, 2002, 2003?
Yep, exactly,
Is that right? Yeah.
Yep. And I remember.
Long time ago. But I think, to answer your question, the economy always affects our practice. You know, we are really oil driven in Oklahoma. So as energy excels, we do better here. But I think the economy affects the part of the practice, as I say, that pays me: the aesthetics, the cosmetics, the rebuilding of arches, the still bread and butter dentistry that we do every day. That doesn't change much. And I think that's what's allowed us to stay the same, or not change that much, is that we still do that stuff that just the patients need. And then what the patients want, that fluctuates quite a bit.
The economy was tough, but it kind of purged some of the guys that were pushing it above and beyond, which they shouldn't be. And I just think the guys that were doing good dentistry, they weathered the storm. We weathered the storm. We didn't have any really growth, but we didn't go down at all. And I just think it's kind of a, it's a godsend that it happened in a way just to make you think about rainy days and think about, it can be taken away that quick, like in life. Sure. Now tell me, what has been your marketing strategy creating a lasting impression in the local community? I know we talked a little bit about that, but just tell me a little bit about what you do locally. And
to be straight up, we just try to take care of the patients. And so anytime that I go play golf or I'm out somewhere, somebody will ask a question, "Hey, doc, can you look at this?" And I'll just say, "Sure."
Yep.
And then I'll get them to try to come see a dentist, whether it's me or somebody else, and just try to be a friend. And I think that's the marketing strategy, is just to try to show them that we care, because we do.
Yep.
And I think if we can do that, then that makes us different. And that's kind of the direction I've driven. I was looking up here, it says, "The patient is the most important person ever in this office." That's my number one goal on my wall, sitting up here. And I think that's true.
That's words of wisdom. No, it should be, man. And I know so many dentists, I don't want to say their names, but when I'm out at a party or I'm out golfing and they're asking me about teeth, I just don't want to hear it. I don't want to. I hate it when people. It's like, dude, you're in the wrong field, man. You should not be that way, because you should be talking to anyone. That's what we do. Like me, I'm looking at everywhere I go. I'm looking at their teeth. I said, dude, we gotta freaking fix those bad boys, man. We gotta get your confidence. I just love it, and I think you need that attitude, and I think that's why we've grown, and that's why you're successful, because you genuinely, in your heart, want to help people and take care of them, not only to eat and to function, but for aesthetics. I mean, I just love it when we do people's grills and just change their lives, and just mentally and then also physically, and just, it's the greatest thing in the world. I just love it, man. I just love creating smiles, baby. But tell me, so do you use social media at all nowadays? You got a Facebook page and that darn interweb?
The interweb, yeah. Well, it just had a birthday. So, I think, what was it, years of the internet, even though Al Gore didn't create it. But we do social media. The girls and the staff do social media. I have a son that helps them with that, and want him to help more. I have a Facebook page, personal one, and I check it when my iPad is charged.
Okay.
Otherwise, I don't go on. I don't do any of that, Instagram or any of that stuff. It's just, but yeah, I think that we have to advertise that way, if you will, or market that way. We have to engage that next group of people. That's the way they get their information. That's the way my children, that are 32 to 22, that's the way they get their information. And I think we need to, if we don't engage in that, we're making a huge mistake. Yeah,
it's kind of going that way. Everything's kind of going to the phone, to the tablet, to your computer in a way. And it's just, I kind of get on there a little bit in the last year or two. We've done it as a company. My guys have done it just to try to put it out there, because that's where it's going. But, we still don't get that much engagement. We'll put a picture out and we get 3 looks or 3 likes. And, it's just like, Oh, let's like you. I like you. It's like, look at me, look at me. But I don't know. We'll find our niche in a way down the line. I think it'll come where we'll discover what works to get a doctor even give you a look and to give you a try as a dental lab. And the same thing with you is you got all those millions of people out there that I think as a dentist, to get patients to look at your site and to look at you, you're going to have to separate yourself a little bit and differentiate yourself a little bit. But hey, you got to be on board with it because it's where it's going. Pretty much all digital and everything else. It's just it's really important, that you're staying on the edge a little bit with that cutting edge to keep the growth, for your company. You really have a passion for teaching and for that. Do you find yourself going to be doing that more in the future, or do you think that's what you've done in the past? But you really have always you're a fun dude. I always love talking to you. You're smart as heck, but you kind of seem like a professor almost when it comes to that. You just got a real passion for the technology and the different things. Tell me a little bit about that.
I wanted to do that a lot when I first practiced because when I was in the Army, you were forced to create presentations and do that stuff all the time. And then when your kids are growing up, you don't want to leave home.
Yeah.
You coach them in basketball and you want to watch them play football and you want to watch them play baseball and you want to watch them play soccer and you want to take them to the golf course and play golf with them. And then as they've gotten older, I've generated more time. And then I look at these young dentists and I consider a lot of them like my job is to maybe help them not make the same mistakes I do. And so I hope in the future that we can do more of that and try to not let those young people and young dentists particularly make the same mistakes I do and get marketed out to millions of dollars in technology or hundreds of $1,000s in materials sitting around here to try to just shrink that. I think my background has always been kind of materials driven. And I think that's our limitations. We can dream anything, but we have to have the material that'll do what we dream, and we continue to get better in that area.
Tell me, describe one of the most rewarding experiences in your professional life.
I think probably the most rewarding experience was just getting the heck out of dental school.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a hard profession. When I joined the Army was easy.
No
I go, well, this is nothing compared to dental school, and it's changed over time. The most rewarding experience is when you change a patient's smile and then they cry and say thank you.
Oh.
What's more important to your life than somebody just to says thank you? You can say we don't need that, we have egos, but everybody needs to have somebody say thank you sometimes.
Oh, I know. And it's just, especially too with patients in your chair and them crying or just changing their life. It's such a neat thing. It really is. And even too, like in quadrant dentistry, if a patient, a lot of people, if they don't have the money or this and that, I got a problem over on number 19, so I'm not chewing on my left side again for a while. So they'll chew on the right side for a couple of years, and then they'll finally see the dentist because they can afford it or whatever it might be. But to be able to go and chew back over on that side, it's just such a relief that people with, abscess teeth and just problems with their teeth, and to be able to help relieve the pain and then also to help them with function, but also then as you come around the horn with aesthetics. And it's such a rewarding thing when you do get a patient, say, out of pain or get a patient into, some new function that they're able to, function with their teeth again. It's so rewarding. I really believe that. And I especially for a guy like me, I make teeth for a living. People ask, what do you do? I make teeth. And I love it, man.
I think the mistake that, you asked me about young people or young dentists, the mistake that they make if they think that they're isolated. And for me to be successful in what I do or to take care of the patient, we have to have relationships, and the relationships are not only with our staff and our patients, but it's like, for how many years? 13 years, we've had a relationship.
Yes.
And the relationship because it's part of the team, because your job is to take care of the doctor who takes care of the patient. And if we don't have a relationship where, that impression sucked, Dr. Brown, Okay, well, I'll make a new one. If I can't have that relationship, we can't do what we do.
Oh, I know. And it's so true. And it's just I mean, so many of my doctors that have been with us, that we've been through the trenches, like you just said, and just working together. And, like a dentist, it's the most rewarding thing to be a dentist, but you got to have your staff dialed in. And a big part of it is your lab. It can make or break your sanity or your practice with, just sometimes, we can get off a little bit or this and that, and we just got to get back on track and put our minds together. What is going on? Is it impression material that's a bad batch? Is it, have a technician that's having a bad week trimming your dies? I mean, it's such a cohesive unit that we have to come together. But once we do, I mean, our doctors get flooded with advertisements, cheaper crowns, different kinds of stuff, this and that, but we stick together. And it's just because we kind of been through it. And like you said, we've been together 13 plus years, man. And it's just, I can't thank you enough for all the work. And so we do pretty good for you as a laboratory. Tell me a little bit about your lab experience with Keating Dental Arts out here in Irvine, California.
The Keating Dental Arts listens. And I tried to walk on water once and I suck at it. So I know that I have to listen too. And I think that's what makes it good. I can pick up the phone and I can talk to you, or I can talk to Bob, or I can talk to Barry, or I can talk to, on first name basis with people and say, hey, I need you to do this. And Bob told me the other day that, yep, okay. All right. Okay. I didn't have to explain myself to it. It's because we have a system in which we do stuff. And I think that creates a system that gives you guys at the lab what you need to do for me, which is, taking a good impression, having a consistent margin, finish line, having something and be able to do that. And sometimes we don't do as well as we do other times. And, it's okay to call and say, hey, I can't see this.
Yep.
And so it's okay. If I ever get to the point where I say, no, I'm perfect, then I need to retire.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've been a guy with us that you've helped us. We have several dentists out there that have really been part of us that have helped us make us better, and you're one of them. I mean, I remember Bob and them saying way back, we got to get Dr. Richard Brown on there. He's great, man. That guy is he's an awesome dentist. He's really nice, and he's really smart, and, and I just, I remember it. Yeah, I got to get him. I got to get him on, and so I'm so thankful we got you on, because you just are a straight shooter and just a class act, and, I remember when those kids were young, man. I know you have 2 boys and a girl now. How old are those kids now? Are they getting up there? I thought you said 32, man. I didn't know
Daughter's 32.
No kidding.
Son's 25 last week, and my youngest son is a senior this year at OSU and a business major, and he will, go play in the real world soon.
Oh, dude, we might have to send him back out here to California. Maybe he can help me push me to the next level, man. What kind of yeah, he's going to get an MBA? No, we'll see.
I don't know what. It's marketing management. He wants to own his own business. He's a good kid. He'll be successful at doing that. And my son works for my middle son Ian. He works for another company, and he's a manager there. They'll do fine. Those kids, they had a really good mom, and I participated.
Oh, that's so cool, man. At the end of the day, all you really have is family, faith, family, and hopefully your sanity. That's really awesome.
In dentistry, that's not always the case, huh? Sanity.
No, it's a choice, and you just try to keep sanity sane every day. But no, we love what we do. Definitely love it, man. So tell me real quick, how many patients are you seeing per week now? I just kind of thought that might be a neat question.
Probably 5 to 8 a day. I still work 5 days a week. So what's that, 40 patients a week?
No kidding.
Probably.
That's so cool.
Well, this is an easy job. Why would you want to go out and work for a living when you can do dentistry for a living?
Yeah, well, there's some dentists that they don't have the skill set that Dr. Brown does. It can be I just don't get it. Like, some guys are just frustrated. You're like, gosh, today's one of those days, and it's just, I know it's a tough field, but man, it's all a lot of it's mental. And a lot of it's, I don't know. It's just, I love it when guys love their job and they do what they do. You can just feel it and you can see it. And,
it's a hard profession.
Yeah.
It's a hard job, but you know, if it's more fun today than 29 years ago.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's kind of cool. You know, I mean, you know, maybe it's because I was from Barstow and didn't have high expectations, but you know, it's kind of cool, you know, to say, I get to do this. I don't have to do this.
Oh, I know.
So that's kind of the way we talk about it.
Yep. And that's where we're at in our careers. Like, I love going into work, man. It's like when you have a job that you don't mind doing and you like, it's not really a job. And it's, I think now, because we went through all the hard stuff and we went through all, you know, the sleepless nights with those children, and, you know, we still worry, you know, ours are 33 and 31, you know, and the same thing, you still worry about them like you did as babies and kids, but, it's just different. It's just different. And I just think as we get older, and it just life changes a little bit, and it's a beautiful thing. I love it. I love coming in. Today I was sitting there, I got these two little puppies, man. They kept me up all night, these guys, and I'm like thinking, I got a podcast in the morning and everything else, and I was like excited. I couldn't wait to get out of the house and get to work, man. And Shannon, my wife, and we have like birthdays today. We do birthdays once a month, and she goes, well, we got birthdays, so I got to go get cupcakes, so you better get these dogs. So I had to take the dogs to the darn you know, pet resort, so for the day, those little things. And to have such problems, you know, it's like, yeah. And here, you know, I'm looking, it's like 11 o'clock. I'm thinking, okay, I got to do birthdays here at noon, and then it's lunchtime. I'm going to go to crab cooker. I mean, life is good. What else could there be? It's Tuesday night, taco night at the Keatings. Mama's going to make her tacos.
Yeah.
Well, dude, let's wrap this up, man. What do you think? What do you think about the future of dentistry, man?
You know, it was interesting, Sean. I was thinking about that the other day before I got this questions this morning. Is you know, what is the future of dentistry? And I think number one, it's bright because it's a freaking great profession.
Yes.
Number two is, I think that we have to be very, very careful, and I don't want to sound like an old fuddy-duddy, to be caught so much in technology that we lose what created the great profession, which was the touch, the personal touch and the relationships. And so I think that I heard Mark Cuban speak a few weeks ago, and he said, what's going to make the best employee in the future? And he said, everybody's going to have technical skills. It's the person that has interpersonal communication skills that are going to distinguish you from the person down the street or from the employee down the street. Now, I wouldn't have thought that came from Mark Cuban, being that he's a techno guy, but I think that's the same in dentistry. If we forget that we are privileged, if you will, to take care of people and participate in their health, then we'll lose this place that we're at.
Yes.
And I'm concerned about so much technology that's being pushed at us from 12,000 different directions. Yeah. And that's what you know, it should be an adjunct to the profession and an adjunct to your practice, but it shouldn't possess you.
Yeah.
Do I need $100,000 and $250,000 machine to do better dentistry? No, I need better hands. I need to practice more. I need to work harder. But it can make what I do, just like in golf, it can make what I do better because it can make it easier. Yeah. But it does. It's not a substitute.
You still got to have the skill set, and that's what I think is so true. And that's just a great snapshot right there, buddy. I appreciate that. And same thing with us. You know, you can get these machines, but if you don't have these technicians working on it, and the relationships, you know, there's other labs all kind of doing the same thing, you know, but it's all about relationships, and it's all about, you know, using the machines and the technology together with the human touch, because these are teeth at the end of the day. And, you know, it's just important, you know, that we don't forget, and, you know, that I could get more machines and get rid of more people, but I don't want to. I want to have these people that are just showing the love with these teeth. Sure, I can get a monolithic milled out, But it's that tremendous that's going to be really fine-tuning it, finishing it down, and working those contact circles and, getting those secondary grooves and just really double-checking and triple-checking exactly with function and lateral extremity. It's just so important. And I think, too, with the dentist, there's a ton of dentists out there. I'm not looking for those. I'm looking for the guys that want to practice great dentistry, that want to call us up and work cases together and to have a joy in what we do in a way. I mean, at the end of the day, I know it's a business, but it's true that, you're only as good as your people. And I think you just got to stay true to that. And I'm not worried about it. I think we're going to be fine. I think Dr. Richard Brown's going to be fine. I think it's just all what you do in your heart, and just do good things, and good things will happen, man. And I just want to thank you for all the years of helping us here, and all the years of, just giving us great dentistry. And I just really can't thank you enough, Dr. Brown, for being with us. And I look forward to years ahead of working together with you.
Let's do it for another 20, okay?
That sounds good, baby. I'll be 75.
Right. Yeah. And then we'll go to the golf course and we'll have some more fun sometime, all right?
Exactly, man. I'll show you those PXGs, how I learned how to use them finally.
That's right. All right.
All right, dude. Hey, Dr. Brown, thank you so much, man. I can't thank you enough. And God bless you and your family. And we'll talk to you real soon.
Thank you, and peace and grace to you too, okay?
Thank you, sir. Love you, man.
Thanks for joining us on the Dental Up Podcast Show this week. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or search the Dental Up Podcast on iTunes for our weekly feed. Don't forget to visit KeatingDentalArts.com/promo for exclusive offers. Keating Dental Arts is a full-service dental laboratory, and we're nationwide. We'd love for you to send us a case so we can show you the Keating difference. If you dig what you heard, please leave a review on iTunes, and we'll be back next week.